Hello and welcome to the Squadron 535 podcast. I am Chris.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we are actually going to continue a four-parter series regarding our Mount Rushmore of Nerddom. So last episode we were talking about video games, seeing which ones are the most iconic, and I believe afterwards made the conclusion that, well, Mario is the most iconic out of all of them. Not only being a pioneer in the video game genre or medium, but also like outlasting all the rest that have come and gone from then on.
It's just, Mario is definitely cream of the crop when it comes to, longevity and honestly innovation, because while it does keep its core themes of the game, Mario does constantly reinvent himself for better.
And not only that, but it was fun too. It's fun. It's a fun game. You can't have a game that's not fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you think it is, Sony? So,
wow. I think you mispronounced Sega.
Okay.
Anyway, so this episode we're going to give our top 4 most iconic anime.
Absolutely. And now this one's going to be kind of peculiar, just because anime is mostly a medium more than than anything. So you're going to have everything from all the way from something that's sweet or something like a slice of life to something that's dark and gritty, like what some seinen or some horror anime are. So we want to make sure that we can kind of get a very basic understanding of what we want to see in something like anime.
And at the end, I think we're gonna, after we've done our most iconic, we're gonna give you our favorite anime.
Oh yeah, we're a pair of weebs, so we like to give you our favorites regarding the anime we tend to watch compared to what's the most iconic.
I don't know if I would call us weebs.
Not weebs. You think that's offensive to anime enjoyers?
No, but I don't think we quite fit that category.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. I don't fit in that category.
Yeah, you're in the comics and stuff. I know that.
So, for me, number 1 most iconic anime, definitely the Dragon Ball franchise.
See, Dragon Ball, I feel it's way too easy.
I didn't say best.
It's just way too easy because I don't know a single person who doesn't know anything about Dragon Ball.
That's why it's iconic.
Yeah, everybody I know and their grandma knows who Goku is, and they want to be Goku, especially the grandmas. Straight up, everyone knows what Super Saiyan is. They have blonde hair and they know the screaming and stuff.
Well, it's one of those things where, for the longest time, the fight on Namek with Frieza was the longest fight in anime.
Yeah.
The first transformation for Goku into Super Saiyan. I've yet to see anything really top that transformation until, a certain episode comes out on August 6th from a certain pirate anime.
I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to save that for another episode where it would be awesome. But oh my goodness.
But there's so many things that are great about the Dragon Ball franchise. I can't name a single shonen that I've seen or read where the main character has not been influenced by Goku.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to bring up, is that it paved the way for how people structure especially shonen anime, but anime in general, how they design characters and work around them. I know since Goku has a very heavy I think Sun Wukong, his name is,
yes,
the monkey god.
Influence. Monkey King.
Yeah, the Monkey King.
So Sun Wukong is the actual story of Dragon Ball, or how it was supposed to be, rather. Son Goku, is his full name, is Sun Wukong. He is the Monkey King.
Right.
That was the main...
literally
inspiration behind Goku's tail when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Does he turn into an ape, a great ape?
Who?
Goku? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking about.
Have you
Gohan.
watched?
I kept getting them mixed up with. I know Vegeta does. I know Gohan does.
So
have
you ever watched the original Dragon Ball series?
I watched Dragon Ball Z for the most part.
Okay, you need to go watch Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get into watching Dragon Ball in particular, just because I heard great things. I wanted to see something a bit toned down compared to
So-
DBZ, because DBZ is just like through the roof, literally with all this stuff.
One of those things where it's very contained in its story. It's literally them going to find the Dragon Balls and then him fighting in martial arts tournaments. That's all it is. It's great. So, excuse me. Dragon Ball is based off of Journey to the West, which is the story of Sun Wukong.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. And then, you know,
You kind of see like a bits and pieces of like Goku, like in terms of how they design him and other characters too. Like very obviously,
the biggest thing is personality.
personality, especially like
So-
Goku is very much like kind of distant from people's like personal problems, and very much into like just the action and thrill of like fighting and stuff like that.
He's a
and
bit of
getting
an
stronger. Yeah, like,
And
a bit
he
of an idiot
eats a metric ton.
of food. Yeah, and I mean you can obviously see a few examples like One Piece. Yeah, Monkey D. Luffy, literally Monkey D. Luffy. He just eats. He just acts dumb.
So,
he just
like,
likes to fight and have
Luffy
adventures.
and Goku have the same personality. Goku and Naruto have a lot of the same base.
Gon and Goku from Hunter x Hunter.
It's a little less with him.
A little less. Like I just noticed because he has like a lot of power for one. He likes to eat, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
he likes adventure. He just like is ecstatic about it. Though I know there's some differences. With
Newer anime, the biggest one who is almost an exact carbon copy of Goku is Asta from Black Clover.
Yeah,
Has the
I can see
exact
that.
same personality almost.
no, I could definitely see that.
Natsu from Fairy Tail has a lot of that same personality.
Like you can see it in basically everything. Now, not just about Goku, but like in terms of like shonen and stuff, like you can see how like they use like the fight scenes and stuff like that to give twists and turns like in other like anime as well, like with how they handle like how you can lose a character and bring them back and stuff like that, or like how like there's a new like how they can escalate their show or their story, like from I know because they translate from manga without making it like too silly
Yeah.
to a point, you know, knowing it's Dragon Ball.
I think at this point, you know,
See.
manga-wise, where the story is for Dragon Ball, I don't know if you're up with all that.
I
Did
stopped at Z and GT technically, but yeah.
GT doesn't matter.
Speak for yourself.
It does not matter. It's
Speak.
not in the canon.
It's
No.
canon to me. It's canon to me.
Well, you're wrong.
It's a cool. Dragon
Anyway, so like Super has basically, I would prefer if GT was the canon.
Ball. It was just
but-
a perfect ending, I thought.
So Super has done a lot of rehashing all of those old storylines. Like they've brought Frieza back like 15,000 times in Super. They brought Future Trunks back. And it's just the only thing I really enjoy about Super is Broly.
Burley.
So they revamped Broly, completely changed him up. And honestly, they did it for the better. I like his design more, his personality. He's not just mad because Goku made him cry as a baby.
But for the most part, like, yeah, I thought Burley was really cool. Like, thinking that
And
he was
they, you know,
too powerful. type
They
of
made
deal.
Gogeta canon,
Yeah,
so that was nice.
I just wish they added more. Like, they just bring up like all these other characters, like somehow happen, and like maybe they can get touch base with that.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for them to bring PyCon back.
Yeah. Now, I think we can agree that Dragon Ball like is humongous and iconic like franchise for just
Absolutely.
anime, and in a way we're talking about manga as well because of
Yeah.
that.
Well, you know, and you have all that. Like, you go to Japan, Goku has like there is a legit Goku Day. Yeah, it's a celebrated holiday for the Olympics in Japan. Goku was the ambassador of the Olympics in
Yeah.
Japan.
It's
like-
like huge.
Goku is more than just a character. He has transcended his medium and he's a global international phenomenon.
So I can only name one thing that's bigger than Goku, and that's in the literal sense regarding anime. It's unfortunate I haven't like looked into it too much because I know like it's probably very deep in like lore and like mechanics. But one candidate I had was Mobile Suit Gundam, because it paved the way for like mechs as a concept in general. Like even all the way to the West, like with like Transformers and stuff. Like still like
Transformers is Japanese.
Transformers is Japanese too.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not gonna say Transformers just because like I want to say Gundam instead. So like I don't know if you've seen it.
Gundam came out first.
Yeah, because like I don't know if you've seen it. They made a 1-to-1 statue of a Gundam.
Yeah, they did that.
And
thing.
It actually moves too, like its head.
Yeah,
and stuff.
like it's crazy. That thing is awesome.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't know what's happening now, but I heard they were trying to make one that's functional.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either, but I know for sure that you can see like its influence throughout time regarding like mechs and stuff like that, especially like in like with Western influences, like trying to like innovate on that. I know for sure like Transformers popular here now with a new movie coming out and stuff. I want to just call it an honorable mention. I feel like if I say it's as iconic just because of that principle. I don't have enough to say about it because it's so much. There's so many series about Gundam. Like you're gonna have a long time to go through it, just as much as like another shonen, One Piece for sure. It's a lot to digest.
One Piece is definitely gonna be the next one I bring up.
All right, tell me about One Piece. Actually,
so One Piece is one of the longest ongoing series ever.
Okay.
Why are you asking me? You know about One Piece.
Oh no! I haven't heard about One Piece, nor have I watched One Piece in the slightest.
But you know about August 6th.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, like I think 2 years back, maybe 1 year back, 2 years back, I remember. I watched the entirety of One Piece. Like I binged through it up to its current point, and then I just went through the manga and was updated until then. And I kid you not, it was one of the most wild rides I ever had. Like getting like interested in any sort of anime, let alone manga. I think it'll be iconic for that principle alone. Had it not been for some other shows that lasted pretty much like a long time compared to it. But I think One Piece will stand out because it was the longest running anime and manga.
I mean, it's not the longest running. There's actually an anime that's been on since like the 70s.
Is it Detective Conan?
No.
Lupin the Third. I'm trying to. I don't know.
I don't remember the name of it
here.
But like Detective Conan started a little bit before One Piece did.
Okay.
So it's a couple. I think it's probably like 20 chapters ahead of what One Piece is. But like,
I know JoJo's long, but that's more like their own separate parts.
I don't mess with JoJo.
It's one of them. It's one of those candidates. But I go ahead.
But like, we're almost to 1,100 chapters of One Piece. Right now, we're on Oda is on a break because he had eye surgery.
Yeah, like I think it was like laser surgery. I think he had.
Yeah, because from where he sleeps like half a second.
I think like if you've noticed how popular, like how the popularity, how like One Piece is skyrocketed, so there's actually so much just because we're One Piece fans entirely. We're gonna have a lot of episodes talking about One Piece. We're gonna leave it in here as a candidate for sure. Another one I would like to say is actually not a series; it's a movie. At least I've seen Akira. It was amazing. Like I think it's iconic, just because like it paved the way to view anime not just as a cartoon like for kids or so, but mostly as a cinematic like medium in its entirety.
Yeah. So I've never watched it, but I have heard of it, obviously. It's really surprising how many movies and series and stuff here in America have taken inspiration from it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could see it in a lot of stuff, like, especially with anything, if you bring up anything regarding, like, cyberpunk or, like, psychic abilities or, like, Doomsday and stuff like that, like with experience and stuff, you're gonna end up leading to Akira. I think South Park did a parody of it once with like an episode.
Sure, they did.
Yeah, they did.
I wouldn't be surprised if like The Simpsons did something about it.
Yeah, but like it was very.
Family Guy will be next.
They probably did it like 5 times or so. No, with just Peter.
Dang
like,
it, Akira! I tell you what.
Stop. But if you ever watched it, like like in particular with the animation, like has so much detail with how like things such as wires or like abilities like move in like space regarding its animation.
Your time is up again.
My time is not up. This ain't a debate. This is a fact. I'm saying like it felt so lifelike watching Akira and how they influence. It's very much human, which is what I think animators try to.
Well, what's really crazy from the clips that I have seen of it, it was made in like what, the 70s or the 80s, I think.
I believe so. I don't want to be incorrect here. I don't actually look that up real quick.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah. But like, it's obviously older. But like the animation for it,
88. Mm-hmm.
So over 30 years ago.
Yeah, more or less.
So the animation for it is just crazy good for that time period.
And there are a lot of movie animations that are really good with anime. I'm sure a lot of people will bring up like the like stuff like Kiki or like I want to name it. It's on the tip of my tongue. It was like from the Totoro, Spirited Away,
Studio Ghibli,
yeah.
Ghibli or Ghibli?
Yes.
I've heard it both ways.
I'm sure. I mean, like, but the thing is with Akira, it influenced like a ton just as much as them. But for me, it has a spot in my heart because like I like cyberpunk, and I believe that it makes it more. It was taken more seriously, and compared to like other mediums that it allowed people to look at it in a more serious light.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of like more serious like anime as well, like not just like the silly ones like One Piece or but that's my take.
Yeah. So next one for me, I can't stand it. I've tried so hard to watch it, can't do it. Naruto.
I don't think Naruto's iconic.
I do, just for the simple fact of he's right up there with being recognized alongside Goku.
You think so?
I do. There's a reason that Dragon Ball, Naruto, and Bleach are the big 3.
Yeah, I mean, like they're mostly the core shonens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because, like,
although I personally would replace Bleach with One Piece. Because I
don't know, because like One Piece, like, see, when you think of shonen, you think of like fighting blades and like super powerful forms and stuff like that, right? And yeah, One Piece has all those, but One Piece kind of just feels more like a. I don't want to say anime, but it feels more like cartoonish, but more like an adventure than it is a stakes all up on top, like balls to the wall, like just fight.
Yeah.
Doomsday's coming or whatever. I just feel like it's just more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Naruto, like,
and then there is also another point where you can argue that One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach are the big 3. And Dragon Ball
kind of like
the big daddy.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that for sure. But that just goes back to like kind of have to just give credit to Dragon Ball. I mean, like I can give credit to One Piece because like it's long running. It kind of innovated in a way of how they handled like storytelling compared to like other shonen and stuff.
Yeah. One that if we didn't want to agree on.
Mm-hmm.
Naruto, one that I would definitely be more than happy to replace it with is Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the one thing with Yu Yu Hakusho. I was just watching it recently, right? Compared to like other shonens and stuff, where you have like the cool characters being the main characters and stuff, they're put to the side, and the main characters are more like, I guess, not goofy, but like
annoying. Not
even annoying, but unconventional, I guess. Where you have like someone like in Yu Yu Hakusho, like Hiei, right? he has a bunch of power and he just wants to be more stronger so he can be like just an all powerful demon, and Kurama just being cool, level head, and logical and stuff. You have two Yusuke and Kuwabara who are just very much in conflict. They're just kind of rivals, and they just like don't give a shit about literally anybody else, and they just want to like just have you piss off. For example, if it wasn't for you trying to provoke them, type of thing. You don't see that in any other characters. They all have dreams, but Yusuke and Kuwabara just wanted to be left alone at first.
Yeah, but it's definitely. So I started a rewatch of it a couple years ago. I didn't finish rewatching it because I watched it as a kid. I loved it.
The Dark Tournament so much.
Yes, I didn't get back to that point, but like the fights in it are great, and it's been Yu Yu Hakusho is a big inspiration for a lot of anime. I think I want to say that that anime was one of the inspirations for One Piece.
You think so?
I know Yu Yu Hakusho inspired one of the other really huge manga / animes. I cannot remember which one it is.
Probably wasn't Hunter x Hunter.
Actually, it may have been Hunter x Hunter.
Because they were made by the same guy, Togashi.
Oh.
That's why.
He should have stuck with Yu Yu Hakusho.
I mean, like, I don't think he had anything else to go. I think it ended where it should have. I think they could have been a bit longer.
Well, they're bringing it back.
I don't know where they can go.
I know. I think they're remastering it.
Oh, that's another thing.
But I think he is coming back to do more with Yu Yu Hakusho.
I don't know how. He can't draw. Have you heard about it? He can't draw. He has like very severe, like I think it was arthritis or something like that. Mm-mm. But he can't draw. He has to get help.
I mean, he can give them the direction for the story, and they do it.
They could do that. Like, here's another thing about Yu Yu Hakusho. It's very one thing that makes it unconventional is that instead of it being solely about power, because like everybody has powers in that, like all the enemies, and they all have their different reasons for being powerful. But there's no like single power thing like power levels or Nen or Haki or whatever that other animes have. So it's all based off of just like which one's smarter in combat and which one can use their brute force better in combat. And I feel like it gives a lot more interest in like how things are done rather than just seeing, oh geez, look at them, they're so strong, they're so powerful, look at them go. Like, is he actually stronger? No, it's actually like, did they pull like a trick or something like that to win?
So that's actually a lot how the original Dragon Ball series is, because those series were going on at the same time.
Okay.
So I think there's a good chance they could have been
banked on each other. Like,
yeah, because like the original Dragon Ball series is literally just Goku going around fighting people.
Well, you got to understand also, if they were released at the same time in anime, they probably were written in different times in the mangas too.
Yeah.
So like, I think definitely though they have good ideas with that. It's kind of the same thing with like JoJo. Like, it used to be about like different abilities and stuff like that, or like how to fight them a specific way, and then it just went straight to stands and how to use them and clever ways and stuff. But I feel like it was a lot simpler, but it was a lot more creative with how they handled it back then, for sure. I mean, a lot of these choices we were talking about are very much shonen. If it ain't obvious, we like the shonen animes a lot.
Yeah.
For some exceptions or so. Of all the ones I can say, do you have any like examples that might not be related to shonen anime in particular?
One that I watched somewhat recently is The Rising of the Shield Hero.
Okay.
That it is not shonen, I believe.
Is isekai in it?
I think so.
Okay.
I also watched the first season of Vinland Saga. That was really cool. Okay. So it's about Vikings and stuff.
Okay.
And then I've watched The Devil is a Part-Timer. That one's funny if you've never watched it.
I have not.
It's so funny.
What's that like?
The devil comes from his world, gets stuck on our world, and gets a part-time job at McDonald's.
That actually sounds super anime, especially now. Just because, like...
Well, so they're finally doing a season 2, because that one came out, I think, in, like, 2013.
Okay.
But it's so damn funny.
Like I remember watching stuff like Death Note as well, which was very like very much. It seems serious. I thought it was something like kind of like horror later before I've seen it, and I realized how funny it is like to watch like this cat and mouse game with Light and L like throughout the whole series. I believe a lot of people like look back on that, especially with how they handle the voice acting and stuff, and they kind of see that as a way to like show exaggeration and embellishment of like how they treat scenarios and stuff, and that's how you can write great, I guess, cinematography or storyboarding and stuff, anime and manga, and make a compelling story. One of I watched a lot of like more mature anime instead. Like one show I watched when I was a kid was Welcome to the NHK, and that dealt with a lot of stuff, especially regarding like depression and like trying to get back into life. I think it went towards a point where it was about suicide and the like, and it was very sad with like how like the main character kind of felt trapped, especially like when it regards to like not knowing where to go, and you feel like you're not getting assistance and like, and really like all you needed was a push through by like a friend. It kind of like translates a lot to like how a lot of like, you know, huge fans, I'm talking about like on this one I'm talking about weebs, like they probably feel like when you have something like anime, it feels like a form of escaping, and I felt like it was actually a great like, I don't know, hand out to reach and rescue them through their own medium type of thing. I felt like it would be a kind of in its own way, but I wouldn't say as big as say like the other ones like Akira or Dragon Ball. It's very much like out there.
So what's your third option for your Mount Rushmore?
It's a toss-up. Yeah, it's a toss-up between three. Suzumiya, Haruhi, like the melancholy. Berserk, of course. They're very different.
I've been waiting this whole time for you to mention Berserk.
Yeah, I love Berserk. And I feel like it's going to be like huge, like a part of anime in the future.
I would hope so. It's been around for about 20 years.
Yeah. And I mean, like now that, you know, all this stuff's been happening, which I'll explain in a minute. In Nishijo, I think, which is like this slice of life, very simple anime about girls getting into like funny hijinks in school. And they animate it super well. I think there was like a principal suplexing a deer, if I remember correctly. But it was very funny, and I feel like the reason why I say them is that like Haruhi Suzumiya, for example, when watching that, it's very much a slice of life, but with a few like little twists and turns that make it more like outrageous than it actually is. I don't know if you actually seen it. Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's like a high school like anime, kind of drama-ish. But like slowly you start to discover characters are like from places they shouldn't be. Like I think one's like an alien, one's like a time traveler. I think the main character, like Haruhi Suzumiya, is like a god, really, like who just was bored, so she became an anime girl.
Yeah, I think the closest thing to anything like that I've watched is God, what is it?
Because I know like
God, what is it? It's on Hulu right now. Guy travels back in time to fix his life to save a girl that he loves, and every time he goes back, something happens, and she still ends up dying. God, what is it?
That's a lot of stories I've noticed.
It's current. Here, talk for a second.
But here's the thing: like the reason why I say it though is because like I'm sure a lot of like school dramas and stuff kind of go back to that. Haruhi Suzumiya, for example, like in terms of like how they write anime girls or so in high school and stuff like that. I know like there's older ones like Great Teacher Onizuma, I think the name is, or Onizuka, which have like the stories of like school and like school kids and stuff, and like the drama they deal with, especially like with them. If you've seen it, they're vicious as hell.
It's Tokyo Revengers.
Tokyo Revengers. Okay, I'll take a look at that as soon as I could.
I really loved the first season. Like it was very gripping, and I started the second season and it didn't grip me as much.
Okay.
But I also sat and watched the first season like all together instead of watching it weekly. And now I think maybe the second season might be done at this point, so I can probably sit down and watch it. I'm a big binger. I would rather sit down and watch a whole series at once than watch it weekly.
No, I get that.
But yeah, Tokyo Revengers is probably the closest thing to what you were talking about.
Okay.
That I've watched.
Mm-hmm. So now about Berserk. The reason why I want to bring that one up is that of all the ones I've known, like aside from maybe like One Piece, but even barely, like I feel like Berserk is one of the forms of like an epic that you can probably see in anime or manga in general. I'm saying manga now just because if you actually read Berserk, the illustrations are absolutely like otherworldly, like phenomenal in how it's done. Like every time you open a page, it's basically like a new like masterpiece every time.
So from what I've seen of the Berserk manga, it kind of looks like they just took a bucket of ink and just kind of splashed it on the page because there's a lot of blood.
Well, you got to keep reading it. You got to actually read the book instead of like look at it. I mean, like I don't know if you've seen some images of like, for example, like iconic things such as like the eclipse or whatever. I'm not gonna say what that is because I don't want to spoil it for you unless you already know.
No.
Okay. So
no, I need to sit down and actually watch Berserk because I know there's like 4 different anime for it.
So the thing is with Berserk, there's so much attention to detail of how it was drawn, especially like how well they tell the story and stuff, the dynamic between Guts and Griffith and Casca, that it's very reminiscent of stuff like from like say Shakespeare or like mythology and the like. So I really think that it has a much more staying power in comparison to something like Naruto or Bleach, which is why I don't even like think about them in comparison.
That's fair, but because we're talking about what we think is the most iconic,
right?
You know, most people don't know about Berserk.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how many people actually do.
I think you'd be surprised by how many people don't.
I don't know about that.
I mean like, obviously I know about it. I've never watched it or really read anything about it.
No, that's understandable. It's just that recent events, like let's say, I'm saying recent because it's been since a few years, basically. The author of Berserk died, I believe, from
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, from I think a collapse in aortic valve, I think it was. Like he died from a heart problem, I believe, and throughout multiple like communities and games and stuff like that, especially like online games and stuff, they left like hundreds of tributes and stuff like that, like regarding like his death. Like I remember like people were making like collaborations of like the Field of Swords and stuff that were reminiscent of like the Band of the Hawk and stuff like that. And like I never saw that with other people, especially regarding like the death of like an author that causes that much influence. Like I don't know if you heard about Dark Souls, right? I'm sure you did.
God, Dark Souls.
It was heavily inspired by Berserk.
Oh,
yeah. And like if you look at anything regarding dark fantasy or gothic stuff in the modern day, it's gonna lead back to Berserk. It's basically one of the things that's kind of branched out the same way like Dragon Ball branched out to Future Shonen.
Okay, so
it's very influential.
What you're saying is that Berserk is the Dragon Ball of its
type, more or less.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how Akira branches like inspired many like cyberpunk stuff, or for a matter like how like that and Blade Runner inspired sci-fi.
Okay. So for the last iconic one, and I think you and I can probably both agree on this one for the most point, it's probably Astro Boy.
Really? What do you think about Astro Boy?
So I have seen a little bit of the anime. I remember the movie that came out when we were kids. I like the futuristic aspects of it.
Yeah, it's very I mean, it's very simplistic, like of how like what they were starting out with, but for what they had obvious like they tapped into something creative with Astro Boy.
Correct me. That came out in the 60s?
Somewhere.
60s,
it was in black
70s?
and white, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So Astro Boy has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think there was even like an American version for a cartoon when we were kids.
Okay, so it was serialized in Shonen from 1952 to 68.
Okay.
So it is about 71 years old right now.
Okay. So I think you and I could probably both agree that Astro Boy was probably the Dragon Ball of its time.
Well, I mean, like, it's just one of the early iterations. It's basically one of the origins of anime as a whole when it comes to animation.
Yeah.
Like,
But, like, I'm sure, Akira Toriyama, who created Dragon Ball, took inspiration
from
Astro Boy.
Like, even if he didn't, like hundreds of others, like, did.
Yeah.
And, like, that led up to him. So it's like, it is basically, like, one of the very foundations of it. Kind of like how, like, Pong was to video games in a way.
Yeah.
So, like, that's definitely a good candidate and a great honorable mention. The only thing I disagree with is, like, the thing is, Astro Boy, yeah, he was one of the originals, but he didn't last as long.
Yeah.
Like, One Piece has been around since what? God knows how long. Like
97.
97. So, like, that's been like 20 or so years. And I think it lasted longer than Astro Boy did. Dragon Ball, definitely. Like, Dragon Ball from Dragon Ball to Super.
So, the original series for Dragon Ball, so you have Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z,
Right.
only ran from like 1986 to like 1992.
Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
The entire thing.
The entire thing.
From beginning chapter of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, like the first
Buu.
Yeah, like the first episode of Dragon Ball aired in like 1986.
Wow.
And it was over.
Well, how about the manga?
And like, so Dragon Ball Z started in, I think, 89. So like the first series only lasted 3 years, and then Z only lasted like another maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
So like it didn't last as long as what we think.
Okay.
And then
Super came out.
Super
and GT.
So GT was only on for I think 2 years.
Okay, here we go. 1984 to 1995 was Dragon Ball. Just Dragon Ball. And 89 to 96, so they were all together. Like, yeah, you're right. So 86 to 96 was Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, so 10 years.
Yeah. But
One Piece, for example, like you were bringing up, has been on TV since 99. So the manga started in 97.
Okay.
So the anime has been going essentially nonstop for over 20 years, which is crazy.
Right.
When you think about it.
That's really what I'm kind of like looking at.
So it's been going on for 24 years.
It's a lot. I mean, like,
yeah.
So I mean, like, Astro Boy, considering like all things considered, it lasted quite a bit. That's like what, 16 years it was in, like, and
you said 52 to 68.
52 to 68, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly 52 to 68. I think, and that was just a manga though, actually.
Yeah. So I know for One Piece, they typically, when they start the animation process, they usually go with like 3 chapters at a time to make one episode.
Right.
So if that's like the general consensus, and that's how most people do it when they adapt from manga to anime.
Yeah, for the most part. I wonder, like, how the pipeline is from manga to anime. Like, how do you exactly, like, go from each step to?
I don't know. That's a video.
That's an episode in and of itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, before we stop this one and decide afterward what we think should fit there, do you have any honorable mentions you might want to put in for, what could be Mount Rushmore? Like, that not necessarily will be?
The only ones that I would say that, because I kind of switched out Naruto with Yu Yu Hakusho, I would say maybe Naruto, Bleach, Inuyasha, Rurouni Kenshin.
Okay.
Those are all
just the shonen characters, basically, right?
Well, Rurouni Kenshin's not. I don't think it's shonen.
I don't think that is, but like, I don't know why. I just think you said Bleach and Naruto. I was like, okay, yeah, shonen. But yeah, Kenshin is not necessarily. Yeah, you're correct. For me, I'm kind of hard pressed because a lot of them are kind of like one-offs in a way. Like, a couple of my personal favorites were Planets. It was about space janitors, basically.
Oh, I forgot about Cowboy Bebop.
I feel like an ass for forgetting about Cowboy Bebop, but I'll put that in as an honorable mention. It is a work of art for sure.
Okay.
Outlaws.
My favorite part about that one is just the music.
Yeah, I wonder why you would just like the music and just the music. Like one other one I like a lot is jinx. Now I can't think of anything else about Cowboy Bebop. Outlaw Star, which is a really good one of mine, because I like the space fighting and stuff like that. I just Fist of the North Star. That was a really nice one as well.
That was actually one of the biggest inspirations Akira Toriyama had for Dragon Ball.
I figured it would be. He's just some tough guy, just like straight up like punching like left, right, like fast. You see that all the time in those games.
All right, list your top 4 favorites. Go.
Okay.
Favorites, not iconic.
Not iconic?
Not iconic. Your
Okay.
personal top 4 favorites.
Damn. Okay. NHK. I'm gonna just say One Piece. I don't give a damn what you tell me. Berserk and Yu Yu Hakusho. And honorable mention Outlaw Star. There you go.
I don't know why you would think I was going to say anything about One Piece, because mine are Fairy Tail,
Okay.
One Piece. So we have One Piece in the same spot.
Okay.
Probably My Hero Academia. I love that one. It's so good.
Okay. Go ahead.
And probably Black Clover. I love Black Clover too.
Black Clover. Okay.
It's basically the exact same thing as Fairy Tail, but kind of different.
Okay. Well, I don't.
It's like Fairy Tail mixed with Zatch Bell.
See, how come I remember Zatch Bell? Why do I remember Zatch Bell? It was so forgettable. Why do I remember that?
You know what else we forgot to talk about?
Bobo?
God, not Bo.
Who else? What?
I remember that one on Toonami. I was like,
Yeah, I was like, what
Why-
the hell is this?
exactly. I was like 7. I was
Technically,
like,
you know what? Now, forgot to mention, technically Pokemon's an anime.
it is,
Kirby was an anime.
unfortunately. I hate Kirby.
Well, there's a lot of overlap. I'll just put it that way.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
So
Okay, go ahead.
the original series was good
Okay.
for the anime. Yu-Gi-Oh GX.
Was
I liked that one. That one was probably my favorite, especially for the cards. I loved all the elemental heroes. If you can't tell, I'm a big superhero guy.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rest were just kind of trash.
So I'll tell you this much: I'm glad I didn't watch One Piece when I was a kid, because when I watched Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, I didn't like it just because I listened to the 4Kids edition of it, and it threw me off entirely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Yu-Gi-Oh was good. I'm sure it was a lot more important with the stakes and like how they took it seriously in the anime.
So,
but 4Kids just killed it for me.
yeah, and that's fair.
And I can understand that. I feel bad for the people who watched One Piece as a kid and got.
I watched One Piece as a kid.
Did you like the 4Kids version or?
I loved it. I was a kid.
Okay.
So I was watching it as it premiered on Toonami. Because, back then Toonami was at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon instead of midnight.
See, like it made me like not focus on like that, and it felt kind of still in comparison, so I couldn't get into it. So I just ended up watching like the finer things, like Ed, and Eddie, and Courage. That being
yes.
said, those are different beasts entirely. So.
Yes.
But
So
then-
I watched it as a kid, and then, they took Toonami off Cartoon Network there for a long time. So I completely forgot about it. And then a friend of mine reintroduced me to One Piece in college.
Okay. He was like, wait, that anime? Like, is it
I
still
was like, because we were talking about anime one day. I was like, yeah, there's this one as a kid I really liked. I think it was about pirates, and the main guy was like kind of rubbery or something.
in
he's like-
Caribbean?
He's like, you're talking about One Piece. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
am I? I was like, I don't really know. We watched the first episode, and he refused to let me watch it in English.
I mean, like, I can understand why. I noticed in the English dub, some voices kind of like
Oh my god!
collide, and like they kind of like are similar.
I'm not gonna. So, Chris Sabat, great voice actor. if you know who he is.
Uh-huh.
So he's Piccolo, he's Vegeta, he's Zoro in the English dub for One Piece. His voice does not suit Zoro's character whatsoever.
Did you know in the Japanese dub, both Frankie and Bankai have the same voice actor? You never hear them together because of that, I think.
I did not.
Go back to the Alabasta episodes and then Frankie, and they sound the exact same. And that's the only example.
That's fair. All right.
But,
so I think we can end this here. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Let us know your favorite anime, what you think is the most iconic, whatever.
And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for sure. We need the engagement because we love to talk about these things.
We want to talk to you guys. We want to get to know you.
Yeah.
All of the things.
And subliminally advertise our favorite animes to you so you can watch them, and then we get more fans of those animes.
Especially One Piece. So we have 2 more parts coming up. We will decide what those are and reveal them on the next episodes. But in the meantime... Or we might just give a slight hint about it on Instagram.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see that. Make sure you engage on Instagram as well. Or we can probably just forget about this altogether and just go to our next episodes.
We're also slowly but surely getting on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, maybe next episode will be 10 seconds long, and we'll have a lot of zoom-ins and stuff like that, and just be so ecstatic about the next favorite iconic, whatever the heck we're going to talk about. But in the meantime, stay tuned. My name is Chris.
And I'm Andrew.
And this has been the Nerd Squadron 535 podcast. Thank you for listening.